Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rogue Eye Entertainment Podcast. This is an emergency episode, and I know I said that about the last one. That one was a little more prepared than this one, but this is a true emergency episode. It is December 17th, Tuesday at 10:07 p.m., and literally like 10 minutes ago, we got a huge report about news for Spider-Man 4, and it's kind of been brewing throughout the past couple of days, and I'll give context on all that, what that's been so far within like the last couple of days of news. I think leading up to this, which was a big report, and I'm just going to get into all these rumors, all these reports, or all these recent rumors and recent reports about Spider-Man 4 and what we can expect in terms of people to appear or plot devices or plot details, stuff like that. So we're just going to get into all that today. Not going to be a super long episode, but again, this is very sudden. It's going to be a bit all over the place like the last couple episodes have been, but I've kind of liked this format. It seems like you guys have liked it too. So yeah, Spider-Man 4. The only thing that we officially know, obviously, to this point is that the movie has a current release date of, I believe, July 24th, 2026. Let me triple check that real quick. I know it's July 2026, but let me triple check that. Yeah, July 24th, 2026 is the expected release date for Spider-Man 4. The only confirmed cast we know so far is obviously Tom Holland as Peter Parker and Zendaya to return as MJ. We don't know the what her role is going to be, and that's part of the rumor that I'm going to get into. But that's those are the two things we know. There's been a lot of talk from Marvel about getting this film right, and Tom Holland said he wants to get the script right, and he has a lot more creative control this time around. And he said it's something new they've never tried before. There's been a lot of things, and people are talking about it might get delayed because it's going to release around the Christopher Nolan movie that Tom Holland's a day are in. But anyway, those are just confirmed details right now, which is really just the release date and the fact that Tom Holland is obviously returning and Zendaya is returning as MJ. So that's pretty much all we know confirmed. But there's been so many rumors swirling, even ever since No Way Home ended. Since No Way Home era ended when it released, like ever since then, we've been getting rumors about this movie, Spider-Man 4, where it fits in the context of the multiverse saga, stuff like that. Obviously, it's releasing between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So that's kind of set up this dynamic where, with the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of fans, including me, wanted this story of Spider-Man 4 to be a lot more grounded, maybe a street level story, because the first trilogy of Tom Holland, just in general, his movies, it's like Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, have been a lot more non-grounded, a lot more cosmic, or I guess cosmic's the best word to describe it, large scale. Whereas the way No Way Home ended made it seem they're going back to the basics of Spider-Man. Nobody knows who he is. He's leaving Peter Parker in the past, but he's staying as Spider-Man. That was literally in the script, a variation of that. So the way I saw it, it was a perfect chance to, all right, we got this reset with Spider-Man 3. Now we're going into Spider-Man 4, and we can have this grounded story with hopefully bringing Daredevil in. We introduced him in No Way Home. We're bringing, Kingpin can come in and set it up from Daredevil Born Again, which comes out next year. And I thought that kind of made sense with where we're at in the MCU right now and where we're at with Tom Holland's story. But as things go and as Sony is kind of 50-50 on this project, Sony has been, and this has been reported by a lot of places, this is pretty much true, that Sony has said that they want this story to be more multiversal. And the reason for that is because No Way Home was heavily multiversal and brought in the two other Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and it made, I think it was $2 billion dollars in a pandemic. So their thought process is, hey, we made all this money with this movie. Everyone loved it. Let's do it again for Spider-Man 4 on an even bigger scale, bring back even more characters, maybe. And that'll get us even more money, even more success, and the fans will love it. And obviously, fans didn't respond very well to that, and neither did I. And I've kind of accepted at this point that this will be a variation of multiverse story, especially with the fact that it's taking place between Doomsday and Secret Wars, or it's releasing and taking place between those two movies, because just not to get into details and specifics about the Secret Wars or the Secret Wars comic run or anything like that, and I'm sure people don't want that movie spoiled or anything, but with the way that movie ends, this movie has to work within a multiversal context. We can't just have Doomsday happen and then 2 months later, which Doomsday's coming out in May, and then Spider-Man 4 is 2 months later. Can't just have Doomsday come out and then 2 months later, Spider-Man 4 is a grounded story with Daredevil and Kingpin and Devil's Reign. Like that just can't happen. That's not possible within the context of the story. So for a long time, and I'm going to get into a bit of rumor territory here. And just disclaimer on this, again, these are rumors. But me, I would not tell you guys a rumor that is not coming from a reliable source, okay? I have been following this scoop game for the last couple of years. I'm in a couple discords with scoopers in it, and I would not say anything of a source that has not been proven right in the past and is not reliable. So these sources I'm going to name, and I will say them by name, are reliable sources. So even though this is not confirmed, and we know about this movie more than anything else, that rumors can, can be not true and things can change, but this is the fact of what we're hearing right now. Okay, this is what we're hearing right now. And before I say that, and this is before again, I know I'm blabbering on here, but I'm trying to give context to people who aren't, refreshing Twitter every day for scoops about Spider-Man 4, a movie that's not coming out for 2 years. So, kind of the recap at this point. Like I said, to begin in the leading up to this movie, probably about a year ago, the rumors did start that we were going to get a more grounded story, and Tom Holland and Kevin Feige wanted a more grounded story with Daredevil and Kingpin. It appears they pivoted away from that because, like I said, Sony wanted a more multiversal story, and they have the final say at the end of the day. They own the rights to the character, even though they share the character. Um, so it appeared that they were moving towards more of a multiversal story with potentially bringing Tom Hardy's Venom in and Andy Serkis's Knull in from Venom 3, if you did not see that movie. Knull was the main villain. They were clearly setting him up to appear in future projects. It wasn't really clear what those projects would be, but then the rumors started swirling around the release date of Venom: The Last Dance, which I guess was a couple months ago, that Knull would appear in Spider-Man 4 and possibly be the main villain of Spider-Man 4. And if Knull was in it, obviously that would mean Tom Hardy's Venom would come in as well. And this all works because multiverse. And I'm not going to get into it, the huge comic nerd stuff, but because multiverse. So that was the rumor a couple months ago by many people. Daniel RPK, Alex Perez from Cosmic Circus, like plenty of sources were saying that this is the direction we're headed with Knull and Tom Hardy. And in the last couple of days, and I say last couple of days, I mean the last couple of days. Like this started yesterday and has flooded in today, Tuesday, and probably will continue to be, swirl in the rumor mill later this week as well, Wednesday, Wednesday on. So what started yesterday was the first thing. This is how the timeline worked out in the scoop game, right? So, mid-afternoon on Monday, Daniel RPK, again, a reliable scooper, posted a GIF of Ghost Rider on his Twitter, right? So no one really thought anything of that. They were like, oh, he's clearly teasing some Ghost Rider thing, but nobody made the connection to Spider-Man 4 at all. Like, why would you? They just thought, and I just thought, oh, maybe the Ghost Rider is going to be in Secret Wars, or maybe Ghost Rider Project is going to come soon, sooner than we think, stuff like that. But then and again, I'm not trying to abuse paywalls or anything here, but this is out there. This is on Twitter. You can find this. Many people have been talking about this, so I'm just going to say it. Daniel RPK, in his subscribers only Discord, said that Mephisto would be the main villain of Spider-Man 4. So, obviously, with that news, which is crazy, that news made people think that Mephisto would bring in Ghost Rider because Ghost Rider and Mephisto have a long history in the comics, and Mephisto is sometimes the one that makes the deal to create this Ghost Rider, whatever version of it is. That's the simplest way to explain it. So, like I said, Daniel RPK did not flat out say, to be fair, no one actually yet has flat out said that Ghost Rider will be in Spider-Man 4, right? People have said that Mephisto will be, and I'll get into the next source after this, but no one has said it, but those dots have to be connected. And Alex Perez has gone on Twitter. You can check his Twitter. He's gone on Twitter and said that, talked about how the production company for Spider-Man 4 was last used for Ghost Rider, the solo movie with Nicolas Cage. And he's kind of teased it slowly on his Twitter as well. He also tweeted a GIF earlier today, talking about Mephisto a little bit, and that sparked rumors as well. So yeah, Dan RPK said those two things, Ghost Rider GIF, and then accurately said Mephisto will be the main villain of Spider-Man 4. Now, fast forward to later today, or later yesterday, later on Monday, and there's a scooper named Jeff Snyder who also has a paid newsletter. Bit of a polarizing figure in the scooper game, but anyway, he said that he had some news to share about Spider-Man 4. And we were supposed to get it last night, but he ended up delaying it to today. And now this is the news that's prompted me to hop on the mic and officially talk about it. So this is Jeff Snyder. And again, this is a subscribers only article, but it's out there on Twitter, so I'm just going to say it. These are the main, what is this, 5 details that he talked about in his article. And then once I finish this, this is all we have, and I'm going to start discussing what I think about all this. All right. So I'm just going to read these verbatim to what this tweet says from at Marvel DC News. All right. Or at Marvel DC News, probably. I don't know. This is the first thing. Charlie Cox is set to appear in Spider-Man 4. Charlie Cox is obviously the actor who plays Daredevil and has played Daredevil since Ben Affleck played him. Sacha Baron Cohen might appear as Mephisto in Spider-Man 4, although one sport source has disputed that. Zendaya will have a severely reduced role because of her schedule, reduced role in Spider-Man 4. John Bernthal, who plays the Punisher, might appear in the movie as well. Symbiotes factor in the script as well. So those are the 5 rumors that we got just now. And again, right when I saw that, I turned on the camera and I'm going to talk about it. So let's go through these real quick. So actually, let's just start with the Mephisto and Ghost Rider thing. Obviously, this is way out of left field. Whether I thought it was going to be a grounded story or multiverse story or aspects of both, this is way out of left field. Mephisto is not a Spider-Man villain. He has crossed over with Spider-Man, but he's not Spider-Man, mainly Spider-Man villain. Ghost Rider is also just not really a Spider-Man character. He has crossed over with Spider-Man before, but these are not 2 characters you'd expect to see in a Spider-Man movie, especially coming after this reset we had No Way Home. So this report obviously came as a shock to me. With this movie at this point, nothing can really shock me, but this did. This report about Mephisto and Ghost Rider. And obviously I listed there that Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto. I don't mean to spoil things here, but and I won't say the project that he's supposed to appear in, but it has been reported many times in the past that Sacha Baron Cohen has filmed scenes as Mephisto already for a project that is coming out next year. And again, I'm not going to say it. If you want to know it, you can find it on the internet. I don't want to spoil it for someone who hasn't seen it yet. But so we kind of have known that Sacha Baron Cohen was going to play Mephisto in the MCU. So that's why he's listing him as the actor. It's pretty much confirmed now. Sacha Baron Cohen, you probably know him from Borat, which is just hilarious that he's playing this role. But this thing with the Mephisto and Ghost Rider thing, and again, we're taking all this with a grain of salt, but I'm gonna talk about it like it's true because this is just what we do here. We're all Spider-Man fans. We're delusional. It's really interesting because the one comic that, and again, I'm not going to go into super comic knowledge here. I'm just going to say this just for context, but there's one comic that is very popular that Mephisto is kind of the main villain, or at least has a huge role and appearance in it that has Spider-Man in it. There's one comic that's like that. It's called One More Day, and it's strange because they actually adapted a few aspects of that in No Way Home. So to have it now potentially be Spider-Man 4, I guess they could kind of tweak the story a little bit and maybe do it a little bit more closer to the comics like they didn't do in No Way Home. But so that's kind of strange because that was where my mind went first, is that they're going to adapt that, which is all kind of a story about sacrifice, and he makes Spider-Man makes a deal with Mephisto, and it's had to do with Aunt May dying and all that kind of stuff. Don't again want to go super into detail about it, but I guess that's kind of what they could be going for here. We've kind of been hearing for a little bit, specifically from Alex Perez from Cosmic Circus, that we might see Mephisto have an increased role in Doomsday or Secret Wars. Mephisto is obviously one of the biggest villains in Marvel Comics, and he's been rumored to appear in the MCU for God knows how long. And so I guess it kind of makes sense that maybe they'll establish kind of a rivalry between Mephisto and Peter Parker in Doomsday, and maybe that'll set up this solo movie where this conflict is setting up Secret Wars and Doctor Doom and all that stuff. I can't say I totally see the vision right now, to be honest, but I'm down for it. I mean, I've been very open about this movie. I've been very realistic about this movie. Like I said from the beginning, I've wanted this to be a grounded story. I listen, Secret Wars is my favorite comic of all time. I do not mind the multiverse. I've liked the multiverse saga. I'm not one of those haters on it. It's had its misses, but I think the Infinity Saga did too. But I wanted this story to be grounded because I think it worked within the context of where we were with Tom Holland's story right now. And I just wasn't really a huge fan of how they portrayed him in the first couple of in Homecoming and Far From Home, his first couple of solo movies. So I was kind of hoping that they go to the grounded direction, but I've been pretty open with a lot of stuff here. I think that Sacha Baron Cohen's going to do a great job of portraying Mephisto. I like Mephisto as a comic book character. I always have. And the Ghost Rider thing, if you just hear it alone, Ghost Rider appearing in Spider-Man 4, it might throw you off. But um, the fact that Mephisto is in here just makes it obvious, have a guest appearance with Ghost Rider. It's unclear who will be playing Ghost Rider. Daniel RPK did say in another rumor earlier today, which I guess I should have mentioned, that um, Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider will return in a future MCU project, which obviously people have been lining it up with all the rumors the past couple of days, meaning that MCU project in the future will be Spider-Man 4, and that's where Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider will appear. That'd be kind of lame to me, honestly. I know this is multiverse saga, and maybe they just take advantage of it here. This will be the last chance to get Nicolas Cage to play this character in a role that I think he played very well a long time ago, should be said. But I kind of hope they would have cast a new actor in it. But hey, again, I'm open to it. I love Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. It's way out of left field, and I think it's random, and it's a guy who isn't a Spider-Man villain and a character who isn't usually crossing over in Spider-Man stories, but I'm open to it. Maybe I'll circle this back around when I get to the end of this because I'm trying to be quick here. But so that's the first rumor that we need to touch on. The second one, obviously, I'm not saying these in order, but to me was Charlie Cox is going to appear in Spider-Man 4. And he didn't say might appear, he said is going to appear in Spider-Man 4. And this is just amazing news. Like I said, I wanted him to appear in this movie from the beginning, and I'm not sure how it's going to work because it's going to be multiversal. At least it seems mostly multiversal. But I'm just super excited to see this. I know they crossed over for a little bit in Spider-Man No Way Home for one scene, but to see them, actually cross over in a serious way and as their superhero personas, not Peter Parker and Matt Murdock, but Spider-Man and Daredevil is just so exciting. I love Daredevil. I love Spider-Man. I love the comics of them together. I think they work so well together. I think those actors are gonna have such good chemistry together if this does come true, and that just makes me so excited. I'm so happy for Charlie Cox. I'm happy for Daredevil fans, and I'm one of them, but I'm happy for Daredevil fans, and that's just super exciting news. And with what we've been hearing is the fact that this movie may have grounded and multiversal elements. Maybe this film takes place on Battleworld. It takes place obviously between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Maybe Doomsday ends with the creation of Battleworld. I'm not sure, but it might. And maybe that's how this film works, as Peter Parker is kind of in a New York City reality on Battleworld, and that's how we are able to begin with this more grounded story, and eventually maybe the reality crumbles, and Peter kind of tries to break out of this reality, whatever. But something like that could work. It's all very confusing, but this is just really exciting news. And, similar to that, obviously, the news about John Bernthal potentially returning as the Punisher. This one was casting more down on it. It should be said. He said might appear in the movie for John Bernthal as Punisher, but still, I mean, if you bring in Daredevil, why not Punisher? I mean, again, if you're bringing in Daredevil, maybe you bring in Kingpin. There's no reason that Punisher can't appear if Daredevil's appearing. So hey, I'm open to this as well. I love John Bernthal's Punisher. I think that's one of the best comic book adaptations we got on screen, and we're going to see him again in Daredevil Born Again season one and season two, which has already been confirmed. So I'm so down for more of that, and to see his character cross over with Spider-Man, another guy who crossed over a lot with Spider-Man in the comics, and that's just really exciting to hear. I think that's super exciting to hear. And let's see what should we say next here. So those the last 2 points. Real quick on the Zendaya thing. He said that Zendaya will have a severely reduced role because of her schedule. I kind of assumed she'd have a reduced role anyway because of how, large and scale the story is, and also how the memory spell happened in Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man No Way Home. I should just say that so you don't get confused with the Tobey movies. But that made me think from the jump that she might have a reduced role, and kind of the only reason she still has a role is probably because she's Zendaya and Tom Holland and her are dating, and she's a huge star, and I'm not going to complain about seeing more of her. But my first thought after hearing that news, and I think that probably is true, and obviously her schedule is mostly because of Dune 3 and the Christopher Nolan movie and Euphoria, and she's got a lot of projects lined up, and so does Tom Holland, but he's the main character and she's more of a side character, obviously. So it makes sense that her role will be decreased in this movie. But the way that for me, the thought that jumped to my mind after hearing that is maybe we'll get another love interest for Peter in this movie. And that could be anyone, that could be a variety of people. He's got a lot of love interests in the comics, and it could be a different MJ maybe, but I'm thinking Gwen Stacy. I'm not gonna lie. There were some rumors about a month back, maybe spoiler for casting news, but I don't need spoiler casting news. If you're listening to this, you know. But there was a rumor about a month ago that Madeline Klein would be playing Gwen in this movie, or at least in the future of the MCU. So I don't know if that's true. That gets me really excited. I think that'd be awesome casting. I've always preferred Gwen to MJ as a love interest for Peter, and I don't think we've got enough of Gwen compared to MJ. Obviously, we got MJ in the Tobey movies. Gwen died in the first Andrew Garfield movie, and we've got her in the Spider-Verse movies, which have been great, but that's a different character. It's Spider-Gwen. But that just makes me really excited for that possibility. The fact that there could be another female lead in this movie. It could be Gwen, portrayed by a great actor like Madeline Klein, or I don't know, Sophia Thatcher is another person that's been in my head just after watching Yellow Jackets. I think she'd be perfect, but that's really exciting to me, and that's what this might mean to me, that she might have a reduced role, and she was probably already going to have a reduced role regardless of what they wanted because of the scheduling issue. So maybe now that's their excuse to bring in another love interest for Peter, someone he meets at college, someone Doom manufactures for him, this battle world reality. I don't know. That's discussion for another day, but that's kind of how I see it. And then the last thing is that symbiotes, plural, factor into the script as well. This is also coming from Jeff Snyder, obviously. Like I said, there's some rumors for a while that Venom and Knull might feature in this movie, who are two very symbiotic characters, possibly the biggest characters that relate to symbiotes that we could possibly get. And I know Venom 3 kind of ended on a note that would seem that we wouldn't see Tom Hardy's Venom again, but if Marvel wants him, if Sony wants him, if Tom Holland wants him, then we're gonna get him. So, and I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Hardy's Venom adaptation, but I think I'm not gonna complain about seeing him again. I love Tom Hardy, and finally getting to see Tom Holland interact with Venom would be really cool. And saying symbiotes may factor into the story not only means that those characters might come in. Knull is the god of symbiotes, and Venom has his experience with Knull, and he obviously bonded with the symbiote. Um, that also could mean that we get Black Suit Spider-Man. And I think that's kind of brewing for a while. Obviously, we saw it in the Tobey movies, never saw it in the Andrew Garfield movies. And for those of you who don't know, the original Secret Wars comic actually introduces the symbiote suit. It's the first time we see the symbiote suit. He gets at the end of the story, and that kind of spins off into the first era of the symbiote arc, back in the 80s in the comics. So it's been rumored for a while also from Alex Perez mostly that Tom will get the symbiote suit in one of these coming up movies. So whether that's Doomsday, Spider-Man 4, or Secret Wars. I figure it'll be earlier rather than later because I don't think he would keep it post Secret Wars. I think he'd get it in one of these movies, have it for these movies, then it comes off at the end in some huge climax, probably in Secret Wars. It sounds like they're adapting more of the 2015 Secret Wars story, which again is my favorite comic of all time, so I know I have a lot of knowledge about it. And Peter doesn't have the symbiote in the 2015 version, so maybe this is all pointless, but I do think he's going to get the symbiote in one of these movies. To me, I think it'll happen in Spider-Man 4, just with how we're lining up these movies. But if it happens in Doomsday, that would make sense too, because it'd be weird for him only to have the suit in two movies. To have him in all three would probably make a lot more sense. But if the first time he's interacting with Eddie Brock and Knull is in Spider-Man 4, then it probably makes more sense for him to get that symbiote suit in Spider-Man 4. But symbiotes factoring into the script is not a surprise. It's a bit interesting because, we kind of already had that symbiote story in Venom 3, but hey, Tom Holland getting the symbiote suit could be really cool, and that's obviously probably the most iconic Spider-Man outfit ever in the comics. So I'm not gonna complain about seeing that in live action. So yeah, that's where we are with the rumors right now. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I'm not gonna go super long in this episode because I'm just kind of talking about breaking news, and this can change as quick as it's been reported. So you know, I am I'm always gonna be optimistic with these movies because I trust Tom Holland and I trust Kevin Feige. And I know Sony has a say in this. And I know Sony has a terrible reputation. And I had that rant the other day where I trashed on their company for the spin-off movies, but they kind of know what they're doing with Spider-Man movies. I mean, I don't think Homecoming or Far From Home are anything special, but they're not bad. And Homecoming, it's debatable. But No Way Home was obviously amazing. We've seen what they've done with the Spider-Verse movies, so they can make good movies. Like they can make good Spider-Man movies. The last one they did was, to me, one of the best superhero movies of all time in No Way Home. So I'm always gonna stay optimistic with this because even if this Ghost Rider and Mephisto and Knull and Venom and all this stuff and the symbiote story and Daredevil and Punisher and Kingpin and all this stuff, like if all those characters are somehow in this movie and it's a multiversal bonanza, then even though that sounds a bit crazy to me, if Tom Holland and Kevin Feige signed off on it, which they would have had to, I'm gonna trust it. I'm gonna trust that they can make a story that is worthy for the character of Peter Parker, and Tom Holland would not sign off on a movie like this if it wasn't worthy for his character. He's gotten a lot more creative control around this time around with Spider-Man 4. He's said that in interviews before. You can go watch them. And I think that's really important because I think he's not going to greenlight a story that is not worthy for the character. Obviously, and again, Tom Holland's also said this, they have to operate within the context of Marvel Studios' timeline. And in this case, that's more important than ever because it's set between their two huge multiversal Avengers films that are concluding this multiverse saga. So they're gonna have to operate within the context of that, and that could potentially lead to a battle world situation where this movie is set in a battle world, which personally I think that is going to be the case. I think this movie will be set in a battle world, but I think it'll be an NYC battle world, so it can still work as a somewhat grounded story, like I've said a couple times in this video. But again, I'm gonna stay open-minded with all this stuff. This is all really exciting. Even if all these characters that I said today all appear, it might feel a little messy at first, but if I would have told you that in No Way Home we would have got Electro and Lizard and Doc Ock and Sandman and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and what I'm probably forgetting people as well. And this would have happened. Like you probably would have thought that sounded crazy too, 2 years, 4 years ago. But the movie came out. It's got some plot holes. It's got some issues. I admit that, but it's still just an amazing, beautiful movie and a beautiful love letter to Spider-Man. And that's what these stories need to be. Is with Tom Holland Spider-Man at this point, with how I thought the first two movies are disappointments, these movies or this movie and Spider-Man 4 just needs to do what's right for Tom Holland's Peter Parker as a character with Tom Holland portraying him. And I trust Tom Holland. I trust Kevin Feige. I think some of these characters that we throw around are really interesting and exciting, like Charlie Cox and John Bernthal's Punisher and Kingpin potentially and Ghost Rider and Mephisto. And I think that's all really interesting. And I didn't even mention this yet, but Destin Daniel Cretton is set to direct the film, and he's the director. You guys probably know him from directing Shang-Chi, which I was a very big fan of, especially the action sequences. So I think he can really cook with this movie, especially with the web swinging scenes, which I thought were a bit lackluster and drawn Watts, just to be honest. And Mark Webb did it really well with the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but I didn't think John Watts did a really good job with it. So I think Destin Daniel Cretton can do a great job with that. So yeah, I'm staying open-minded. I'm staying optimistic. All this is crazy and all this could change on a dime, and I admit that. And I commit to you guys that if there is some massive rumor changes, I will either tweet about it, write an article about it, or record a podcast about it like this, like a breaking news podcast. I can commit to you guys that I will do that and keep you guys updated. But this is what we know now from these reliable scoopers. And, feel free to hop in the comments or hop on my Twitter or hop on anywhere and talk to me about what you think about these rumors and what you think about where the story might be headed and what you think about just anything to do with Spider-Man 4 at this point. I'm just excited we're getting this movie soon. We're getting it in 2 years, and that stretch of I'm just going to include Fantastic Four in this. Fantastic Four in July 2025, Doomsday in May 2026, Spider-Man 4 in July 2026, and then Secret Wars the next year, May 2027. And there will probably be a project sprinkled in there somewhere as well because it's untitled on the release calendar. So to me, that's just really exciting. And I think that all of that combined is enough for me to get pumped and excited for the future of Spider-Man in the MCU. And above all else, we know that he will have a massive role in this, end of the multiverse saga and obviously in his own solo movie. So that's exciting. More Spider-Man, more Tom Holland Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man, if I haven't said that already. So yeah, that's everything. Kind of my thoughts on these recent rumors. This is like a breaking news emergency episode. I'm gonna get this out as quickly as I can, but probably gonna get out tomorrow on Wednesday morning as early as possible. But thank you so much for watching. Leave your thoughts on all this in the comments below. I will reply to you as quick as I can. And yeah, I've been Alex Schlerf. Thank you. Take care.